Hello, hello. Welcome, friends. Welcome, welcome. And a very special welcome to our author, Shireen Eddleblute. Hi, Shireen.
Hi, so good to see you, Miriam.
So good to see you. And congratulations, it's your book launch day.
I'm so excited, so excited.
Please hold up your book and tell everybody the title.
Sure, it's here it is. You see it? It's called
Yes.
Garage Sale Goldmine.
Oh, I love it. I love that. So, what inspired you to write this book, Shireen?
So I feel like my story is a little different than a lot of the authors that I've met, but about a year and a half ago, I took a leap of faith and stepped away from my career in investments, which I spent about 20 years in, to follow a passion project of mine. And that was to teach financial literacy to kids. I was raised in a home where my dad openly discussed topics about money and the importance of working hard and saving, investing, and giving back. And my husband and I, we really shared those same values with our own boys growing up. So I had lots of stories of not only mine, but theirs to share. But after spending many years volunteering with disadvantaged children, I couldn't help but realize that those precious kiddos weren't having those same discussions at home. And that's when really something inside of me was saying, you know what, you need to do something to reach them. But as I did my research, I realized that it's not just a family dynamic issue, it's actually a country issue where
Mm.
most of the kids in the US weren't really being exposed to financial literacy. And currently in the US, we have 29 states, soon to be 30, that mandate public high school students take one semester of personal finance in order to graduate. And that's actually a huge progress because just 5 years ago, we only had 8 states that
Oh, wow.
mandated that. But what I found is that a lot of these high schoolers actually are failing in the sense of financial competency. They just, when they get to high school, they just don't really, it's a foreign subject to them. So my goal was to try to reach the kids early so that they could make smarter financial decisions as adults, because research consistently shows that the sooner that you're exposed to money management concepts, the more likelihood of success as an adult, right? So there are clear benefits of teaching kids earlier. And so really the lack of formal education to young kids was what was the impetus of me writing a children's book series. And actually the series is called Fin Tales. It's short for financial tales. And my hope is that it exposes all children in a lighthearted way to finances.
Oh, Shireen, I'm so glad you did this. And thank you, first of all, for sharing your why. That's such an important why. And I agree with you. We don't have enough books on the topic. And definitely by the time our kids are getting to high school, they need to know that. They need to know that. So I'm so glad you took that upon yourself to write such a great book.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about the book. What is it about and who is it for?
So I would say it's for probably kids in the 6 to 8 year old range. Um, and it's about two brothers who happen to be my two boys, who want the latest and greatest robot they see when they're riding their bike home from school. They pass a toy store and see this robot, and they're like, "We want that." But the problem is they have no money, so they try to come up with ways to get that money. And, they think about, can I borrow it from my mom and dad? Or, can I do odd jobs, whatever, but they decide on having a garage sale. And so without giving too much away, it involves some problem solving relating to
Mhm.
purchasing decisions. It also involves some sibling teamwork of getting along and
Yeah.
trying to figure out what they want to sell. And it also broaches the idea of letting go of something that you once treasured, so that someone else can enjoy it in order for you to experience the excitement of something new. And then, of course, as I mentioned, this is all about financial literacy. So it weaves in some complex money concepts like sales tax, borrowing costs, and compounding interest in a simple and digestible way. At least I hope so.
Mhm. I really like how you put that together, like you said, in a simple way that a 7-year-old can understand. And also talk a little bit about the back page. I like that, the glossary of a couple of words, if kids need to know
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, I do. I think it's important because, when you're 6 and 8, these might be new words and new meanings. And so I wanted it to be kind of a resource for the kids and the parents to be able to understand what those meanings are. So kind of reinforce what they learned in the book. And then I also added a financial pledge so that they can, kind of hold themselves accountable so that they practice what they just learned in the book.
So good. So good. Tell us, what is that you hope parents and kids will take away from the book? I know you told us a little bit, but is there anything else?
Yeah, well, I just, the point of this book, outside of course, the value of teamwork and getting along with your siblings and letting go of treasured things that you have or had as a kid. The importance of writing this book is really to be a conversation starter, so that hopefully this conversation or talking about this book will ignite some financial curiosity and hopefully teach some basic financial concepts to the kids. So I would say the goal really is to just talk about it, have a discussion, and create conversations that you might not have otherwise had at home if you didn't have this.
That's perfect. That's perfect. And it's put together in such a wonderful book. Would you hold it one more time? I want to let everybody watching know that this book, Garage Sale Goldmine, is available today on Amazon. So make sure to go there, grab a copy of this book, grab several copies, and share it with the children in your life. We want to get our children started at an early age, understanding financial literacy, and why not show it to them in a fun book, with a fun book? So, Shireen, this is your second children's book in a series. Do you have your first book with you? Maybe tell us a little bit about that book.
Yeah, this is Keys to My Heart. Keys to My Heart is actually a story about my journey. I grew up playing the piano, and as I told you, my dad always talked about finances with me, so it wasn't a foreign subject. But it's I wouldn't say it's exactly my story, but it parallels my story. And it's about a little girl who wants a piano. She loves music and goes to the musical instrument museum and hears the beautiful sounds of the piano and is adamant that she wants to learn how to play the piano, but they don't have a piano. So how does she come up with the money to be able to buy the piano? Because she goes to her piggy bank and she only has a few dollars. So this is a story about earning. She comes up with a bunch of odd jobs to raise the money, but it's also about saving and investing and also giving back. So the importance of it's not always just about us. It's about what we can do with the resources that we have, whether it be volunteering your time, but also earning money. So in this book, it kind of covers all of those. And at the end, what she realizes is that she gets to experience hearing the beautiful sounds of music with her new piano, but also that she feels good about the notion of that she was able to help kids in the hospital and some animals at an animal shelter.
So good. Another great book. Another great book. So tell us a little bit about your journey into becoming a children's book author. What would you say was the biggest challenge when writing, let's say, the book that you just wrote?
So my journey actually started with you. I knew that, if I look back and somebody had a crystal ball and they said, you know what, in a few years, you're going to be writing your first children's book. I probably would have laughed and said, I don't believe you. It was never in my cards. It was never really a dream. But I wanted, as I said earlier, I wanted to find a way to reach young kids. And given my history of my dad always talking to me about it, I went to school, got my undergrad and graduate degree in business, had a career in it, and we shared those same concepts with our own kids. I had so many stories already, right, in my mind. But when I realized that I thought the best medium to teach young kids, was writing a children's book, I did all this research. I found you. I went to your Believe conference, and that really was the spark that got my juices rolling and got me to actually put down on paper all of these stories that parallel my own life and those of my children. And so honestly, like the biggest challenge really was just that first step and deciding to do this, because I already had the stories, right? And yeah, so I would say there wasn't really a big challenge, although outside of coming up with the content, the biggest challenge was actually with this book. I'm not sure if they told you, but my illustrator, and this was completely out of our control, my illustrator, who I absolutely love, I love his crayon-like artistry, and he's just such a nice guy, and he's been so easy to work with. And I worked with him on my first book and also here on my second book, but he had a crazy travel story where he was essentially in a geopolitical event where there were major protests, travel bans, strict curfews in a city that he wasn't from. He was like hours and hours away from his home in India. And so he basically had no access to technology. So we were a little
Wow.
behind schedule on him just submitting things. So, that was probably the biggest challenge for this book, even though it
Okay.
had really nothing to do with like the content or anything like that. It was more just being able to give you the illustrations. And thank God, he ended up being totally safe and sound, and that
That's
spirit
great.
was behind him. But yeah, that was definitely the challenge for this book. Poor guy, I can't even imagine what he went through. But
Yes.
it's
Wow. But he did a beautiful job. Please share his name so everybody knows.
sure, his name is Yogesh Mahajan, and he's just
Beautiful illustrations.
yeah, I love his crayon-like art. It just resonated with me. You go through all these illustrators and their work, and so many are, they're so talented, and but his just struck me, and that's when I reached out to him, and it worked out.
That's good. That's great. So let's talk about lessons then. What would you say was the biggest lesson when publishing this book?
Um, so my big thing, I've always told myself, I'm really creative, and I just always put that in my mind, but I'm not very creative. But what I realized from this whole process is I'm actually a lot more creative than I ever thought. And I think a lot of times people look at children's book and they're like, oh, it's for kids, so it's probably easy. And it actually isn't. I feel like it's a lot harder than it looks.
Mhm.
So I'd say those would be the two lessons that I learned from this entire process. And also, I've done a lot of writing for work, whether they be research reports or whatnot. But writing can be a lonely journey. And what I appreciated that I gained from your group was that it's a team, it's a community that you feel a part of, and your team that from your author coaches to just the book publishing side of it, they really help run a smooth ship, right? And they're behind you. And if you have questions or you need support, they're at the drop of a hat. And I really, 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 really appreciate that part of this.
No, well, thank you. Thank you. I agree. Writing does not have to be an alone sport. We can do it with a community. We're all writing on our own and working on our books, but we have to be in community. I think we go there faster and more enjoyable when we do that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. So here you are with your second children's book out in the world. What is the best part of accomplishing this dream for you?
Well, for me, because my passion is financial literacy, it's really the fact that I'm reaching kids who might not have otherwise been exposed to it. Just
Mm.
planting those seeds. Um, it really, it's just that's the most important part for me, is that knowing I'm reaching kids and hopefully one day changing the economic trajectory of their life.
Oh, so good. So good. I say this all the time because I really believe it. We can change the world with quality children's books. Imagine children learning about finances at a younger age. I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
that's just incredible. And it's possible with books like yours. So I'm so glad that you are publishing these amazing books. So here you are now, a published author. What advice do you have for an aspiring children's book author who may be watching?
Oh, geez. Well, I feel like, as humans, we always second guess ourselves, right? And we think, oh, well, that's already been done before. That's already been said before. And actually through this author, our group, I realized that, I think somebody said it may have been done before, but it hasn't been done by you yet, right? And it hasn't been said by you. So I think the first step is, just believing in yourself, right? I learned that from your conference. And I've lived my life more recently of trying to have no regrets, whether that be in relationships or just doing the things that I've always wanted to do, but for whatever reason just didn't, right? So I just think that you can't live your life with regrets. And if it's something you've always wanted to do, or something's tugging at your heart like it was mine, I think that it's really important that you don't have any regrets, and you don't think about the things that you wish you would have done, and you can say, well, no, I actually did it, right? So
You actually did it.
yeah, so I think, that's it. Just do it. Just go for it.
Perfect. That's perfect. I love that. So today we want everybody to go to Amazon, grab a copy of this wonderful book. But besides going to Amazon, where else can our viewers find you?
You can find me on my website, which is sprouting.sparks.com. There's quite a few, or actually a lot of free resources that they can download for kids or even classrooms, from worksheets to book discussions to coloring pages. They can also sign up for my monthly blog there. And they can also reach me on Instagram, which is at Sprouting Sparks, and Facebook, which is Sprouting Sparks Education. I keep saying I'm going to do TikTok one day. I just, the whole marketing part is the hardest. I should have said that is the biggest challenge for me, is the marketing, but you can definitely reach me at least on those three mediums.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, it's been so nice getting to know you. I'm so proud of you. Two children's books. I love that. Shireen, before we go, is there anything else you'd like to share or anything you wish I would have asked you?
I think you've asked some great questions. For me, I just want to give a shout out of, first and foremost, to my husband and our sons. They're the reason behind my push to do this. They were great cheerleaders, and this story, especially with Garage Sale Goldmine, is as much their story as it is mine. But I also I think this is a perfect time to thank all the folks on your team that have helped me. Sheila Rocchio, which was my author coach, who I had the pleasure of meeting with every month. She kept me on pace and always encouraged me, and she was just such a joy to talk to every month. And then, of course, your editor, Sharon Jennings. She's amazing. Tammy, who she made some adjustments to my illustration and finalized my book. She was great, especially given the time lapse that we had with Yogesh's issues. And then Lauren and Julian, who were like my second and third set of eyes. They were great. I thought I had OCD until I met them, and I mean that in the best of and the nicest of ways. They were awesome. They caught
Yes.
things that even I missed. But I just so appreciate everyone on your team, especially the fact that I have this book in hand, given everything that poor Yogesh had to deal with, is a testament to like their hustle and their ability to get it done. So I can't thank you enough.
Oh, our pleasure.
Yeah,
I'm
and I'm
sorry.
just thinking, one thing I totally forgot to mention is 10% of the profits generated from any book I sell goes to helping nonprofits that are geared towards helping vulnerable and disadvantaged children. This year, I was able to give 62 of these books to kids, foster kids that go to Royal Family Kids Camp. It's a summer camp here in Arizona, and they're actually all throughout the country. And my
Nice.
ultimate goal is to hopefully help more kids and get these books in their hands.
Oh, so great. Well, you're so generous, friends. Go buy a book, go buy a couple of these books, and some of those proceeds are going to be going to a great cause. Shireen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, everybody. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.